Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So, welcome everyone. We are reading from Sri Caitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, translations and purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So we're starting from Adi-lila chapter 10, text 18. Apane Mahaprabhu Gaya Yanra Nritya Kale Prabhurchana Dhari Vakrishvara Bale. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally sang while Vakreshvara Pandit danced, and thus Vakreshvara Pandit fell at the lotus feet of the Lord and spoke as follows. All right, so yesterday, so this is about the branches of the Chaitanya tree, and yesterday we heard about a few of the large branches, right? Like Srivas Thakur, his brother Ramai Pandit. And then there's Acharya Ratna, who is also called Chandrasekhar, and Pundarik Vidyanidhi, Gadadhar, and now we're on Vakreshvara Pandit, the famous dancer. 72 hours. Who can dance for 72 hours straight without stopping. All right. So now we're going to hear what Vakreshvara Pandit says to Lord Chaitanya. Dasha Sahasra Gandharva More Deha Chandra Mukha Tada Gaya Muni Nachon Tabe Mora Sukha. Go ahead, Mumbai.
O Chandramukha, please give me 10,000 Gandharvas. Let them sing as I dance, and then I will be greatly happy. Purport. Gandharvas, upon the residents of the Gandharva Loka, are celebrated as the celestial singers. Whenever singing is needed in the celestial planets, the Gandharvas are invited to sing. The Gandharvas can sing continuously for days, and therefore Vakeshwar Pandit wanted to dance as they sang.
So he likes to dance in kirtan so much. And like we were saying, he can dance for days on end. But his problem is no one can sing for that long. The kirtan leaders get tired. The mridanga players get tired. So then he has to stop dancing because the kirtan stops. So he's saying, give me 10,000 Gandharvas, because these Gandharvas are the residents of the heavenly planets who are famous for singing and playing instruments. Oh, is that Kadrian? All right, Krishna Kadrian, welcome. We're on Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi-lila, chapter 10, now about to read text 20. Prabhu bale tumi mora paksha eka shaka, akashe uditama yadi pan arapaka. Go ahead, Bhagati.
Lord Chaitanya replied, I have only one wing like you, but if I had another, certainly I would fly in the sky.
Very sweet, right? So this is Lord Chaitanya expressing his appreciation for Vakreshvara Pandit's enthusiasm and his energy. That if I had another devotee like you, it would be two wings and I would be able to fly in the sky. 21. Pandita Jagadananda Prabhura Prana Rupa Loke Kyata Yenho Satya Bhamara Swarupa. Do you want to read, Trivikram?
Sure. Translation. Pandita Jagannadanda, the sixth branch of the Chaitanya tree, was celebrated as the life and soul of the Lord. He is known to have been an incarnation of Satyabhama, one of the chief queens of Lord Krishna. Srila Prabhupada, purport. There are many dealings of Jagadananda Pandita with Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Most importantly, he was the Lord's constant companion and especially took part in all the pastimes of the Lord in the houses of Srivasa Pandita and Chandrasekhara Acharya.
Yeah, so we're going to hear as we continue moving forward in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we'll hear some very sweet pastimes between Jagadananda and Lord Chaitanya. They were very close associates, especially in Jagannath Puri. Oh, actually, that's not on. Just a sec, my speaker thingy is not picking. Yeah, so another interesting thing that we're finding out about these associates, these intimate associates of Lord Chaitanya, is that they all, or at least most of them, have a relationship with Krishna in Krishna's pastimes. So they're close associates of Krishna in his pastimes in Vrindavan or in Dwarka, wherever Krishna's having his pastimes. And then when Krishna comes as Lord Chaitanya, they also come with him and they take different roles. So here, Satyabhama, who is one of the chief queens, yeah, she's called the chief queen because Krishna in Dwarka has 16,108 queens. And Satyabhama is like, sometimes it's said that Rukmini is the chief queen, but Satyabhama and Rukmini are the chiefest queens, and out of them, Satyabhama's personality is more strong. Rukmini is very submissive. So Satyabhama is actually the chief queen in Dwarka. And actually Satyabhama in Dwarka is none other than Srimati Radharani in Vrindavan. And then she comes as Jagadananda Pandit in Lord Chaitanya's pastime. So it's a very important personality. Okay, so let's read a little more about Jagadananda. Ritye karite chahe prabhura lalana palana vairagya loka bhaye prabhu namane kakana. Do you want to read, Kadrian? You find it?
So Jagadananda Pandita, as an incarnation of Satyabhama, always wanted to see the comfort of Lord Chaitanya. But since the Lord was a sannyasi, he did not accept the luxuries that Jagadananda Pandita offered.
Yeah, there's one specific pastime where Jagadananda was coming to visit Lord Chaitanya, and he brought this very expensive oil. He brought a whole pot, like a clay pot, full of this very, very expensive sandalwood oil. And then he gave it to Lord Chaitanya's servant, who was, taking care of him. And the servant would massage Lord Chaitanya every evening. So he said, when you massage him, use this sandalwood oil because this is first class. It's fit for him. It's like he should have nothing but the best. So when you give him some massage, use this oil. So then when the servant came with the oil, Lord Chaitanya saw it and he was like, what is this? Jagadananda Pandit wants me to be a sense enjoyer? Does he think I'm an ordinary materialist? I'm a sannyasi. I can't accept these luxurious things. I'm not doing this for my sense gratification. And so he basically rejected the gift. And so Jagadananda was very upset about that. And he started, he was so upset that he stopped talking to Lord Chaitanya and he also stopped eating. He wasn't eating for like a few days. He was just like, he lost his appetite. When you're angry, you don't want to eat. So he was just like not eating. And then Lord Chaitanya tried to, he found out that he was very upset and he wasn't eating and things. And of course he loves Jagadananda Pandit. So he didn't want him to, be torturing himself like that. So he came and he said, oh, I'm very sorry. You out of love and devotion, you brought this, very expensive gift, very valuable gift. And then Jagadananda, he was still so angry. He took the pot, it was in a clay pot. He took it and he just smashed it on the floor and all the oil went all over the floor. He said, I didn't bring any oil. There's no oil in this house. There's no pot of oil in this house. Like that. So anyways, Lord Chaitanya was like, dang, this is serious. So then he spoke a lot of sweet words to Jagadananda, and then after Lord Chaitanya took his lunch that day, then he called. His servant came to right. His servant came to bring his lunch. The servant came to bring Lord Chaitanya's lunch, and he said, "I'm not going to eat until Jagadananda eats," because he hasn't eaten for a few days. So then he said, "Go tell Jagadananda that I'm not going to eat until he eats, and also I don't want to eat this food. I will eat only the food that Jagadananda cooks." So then Jagadananda put all of his energy, all of his, his emotion into cooking a nice meal for Lord Chaitanya, and then the servant served the meal, and then Chaitanya said, "You come and take prasadam with me." So then everything was okay again. But yeah, it was all out of love. So, okay, let's read the next verse. The next verse is also about this. Dui jane katmati la gaya kondala tanra pratyara kata age kahiba sakala. Vrindavan Natvarguru.
They sometimes appeared to fight over trifles, but these quarrels were based on their affection, of which I shall speak later.
Yeah, he's going to tell these stories later. Okay, now we go to the next branch. Raghava Pandita Prabhura Adya Anuchara Tanra Eka Shaka Mukya Mara Makara Dwajakara. Nikash.
Raghava Pandita, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's original follower, is understood to have been the seventh branch. From him proceeded another sub-branch headed by Makaradvaja Kara Purport. Kara was the surname of Makaradvaja. At present, this surname is generally found in the Kayasta community. The Gaura Gonadesa Deepika 166 states, Dhanishta Vaksya Samagrim Krishnaya Dad Vrajemitam Saiba Sampratam Gauranga Priyo Raghava Pandita. Raghava Pandita was formerly a confidential gopi in Braja during the time of Lord Krishna's pastime, and his former name was Dhanishta. This gopi Dhanishta always engaged in preparing foods for Krishna.
Yeah, so like we were saying that Lord Chaitanya's associates have some personality in Krishna's pastimes. So Raghava Pandit was in Krishna's pastimes as the Gopi Dhanishta, and she was her service is cooking for Krishna. So similarly, doesn't always happen that way, but sometimes some character traits of the personality also manifest in Chaitanya Lila. So Raghava Pandit was also very famous for cooking, and he lived in Navadvip. But every year they would go to Puri for Rath Yatra, and they would bring bags and bags of these delicacies that they had cooked. Him and his sister, they would cook and cook and cook for like weeks before leaving, and then they would bring all these amazing foods to Lord Chaitanya. He was famous for that. Text 25. Tanhara Bhagini Damayanti Prabhura Priya Dasi Prabhura Bhoga Samagri Ye Kare Varamasi. Hannah, did you find the place?
Yep.
Cool.
Raghava Pandit's sister Damayanti was the dear maidservant of the Lord. She always collected various ingredients with which to cook for Lord Chaitanya. Purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhasya in the Gaura Gonadesha Deepika 167, it is mentioned, Gunamala Vrajayasi Damayanti tu Tatsvasa. The gopi named Gunamala appeared as Raghava Pandit's sister Damayanti on the East Bengal Railway line beginning from Selda station in Calcutta. There's a station named Sodapura, which is not very far from Calcutta. Within 1 mile of the station toward the western side of the Ganges is a village known as Panihati, in which the residential quarters of Raghava Pandit still exist. On Raghava Pandit's tomb is a creeper on a concrete platform. There is also a Madan Mohan deity in a broken down temple nearby. This temple is managed by a local zamindar of the name Sri Shiva Chandra Rai Chaudhary. Makara Radhavaja. Oh, Krishna. Makara Radhavajakara was also an inhabitant of Panihati.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so Panihati is there between Mayapur and Calcutta. It's closer to Calcutta. I've been there a couple of times. It's a place where a beautiful pastime of Lord Nityananda takes place. And yeah, I didn't know that, but Raghava Pandit is from Panihati. So that's cool. And apparently his samadhi, his tomb, is still there. And also the house that these didn't take place so long ago, right? We're just talking like just over 500 years ago. So, if somebody lived in of course, if they're just living in like a straw hut or something, that's obviously gone. But if they were living in a stone house or a concrete house or brick house, then some of these things are still there, and we can actually go and see the actual house where Raghava Pandit lived, amongst other places. So, text 26. Se saba samagri yata jalite bariya Raghavalaya yana gupata kariya. The foods Damayanti cooked for Lord Caitanya when he was at Puri were carried in bags by her brother Raghava without the knowledge of others. Yeah, they hid them. Probably if people knew about these bags, they would have been looted. Because it was a long journey and they would walk. Like it's an 8-hour drive and they would walk. It would take them, it must have taken like weeks, for them to walk from Navadvip.
I always wonder, how do they carry that?
Yeah, well, they must have had maybe they had bullock carts or something, or they might have had like strong people that just, carried stuff, like porters. Yeah, because that was a long journey and they must have had they had to have gear, right? Because they're like camping out overnight. Or maybe they're getting Brahmins to cook for them on the way or something.
Why did they have to go so far away for food?
No, just the place every year they would go. They were living in one place, and then Lord Chaitanya was living in another place that was like hundreds of miles away. So every year they would make this pilgrimage, and they would all walk together, like a very ecstatic procession. And they would go together on this pilgrimage, and they would go to the place where Lord Chaitanya was staying, and they would stay with him for a couple of months. They would celebrate a big festival there, big annual festival called Ratha Yatra. They would take part in that festival together with him, and that was always a big highlight of everyone's year. And after spending time with him, then they would walk all the way back home. What's that?
We'd also have walked.
If I would be walking, I would walk those hundreds of miles with a bag on my head as well. For sure. Yeah. So it wasn't like they were walking for food. They had plenty of food at home. They were bringing food to Lord Chaitanya because they wanted, it was gifts, it's like when you go to visit like a faraway friend or relative, you bring something nice from that you cooked at home, or some so there are some items, like if you have families that live in another country, so there are certain like food items that are everybody's laughing because there's certain food items that are like specialty, like local cuisines that you can get only in that area. So when you travel to the faraway place, you bring your local food items there, and everybody's like, oh, something special that they don't get. Okay, text 27. Varamasa Taha Prabhu Karena Angikara Raghavera Jali Bali Prasidhi Yahara.
The Lord accepted these foods throughout the entire year. Those bags are still celebrated as Raghava Veera Gale, the bags of Raghava Pandita.
Yeah, so Raghava Pandit and his sister would cook things in such a way that they would keep. They were like, preserved or pickled or, fried things that were like dry, so they would last for, months. And so Lord Chaitanya he wouldn't eat all the things at once. He would just eat little by little and like savor them throughout the year. Just like I remember, it reminds me when I was a little kid and on Halloween, we'd go trick or treating, right? So we'd come back with a big, huge bag of candy. And my brother used to just like eat all the things. And then like the first, like that night or the next day, and then you have no more candy. And I would like hide mine and I would have like one little candy bar a day, and then I would savor it. It would last for like a couple months. So I didn't want to just eat it all and then eat it last. It was good, and we didn't get candy like that too much when we were kids. So yeah, Lord Chaitanya would do that with these amazing preparations from Raghava Pandit. Se sabha samagri age kariba vistara yahara shavane bhaktera vahe ashudhara. It's 28.
Vixar described the contents of the bags of Raghava Pandita later in his book. During this narration, devotees generally cry, and tears glide down from their eyes. Srila Prabhupada's purpose. A vivid description of this Raghavira Jadi is to be found in chapter 10 of the Adi-lila portion of Sri Caritamrita.
So get ready to hear it, read it, and weep. As they say, read it and weep. Because the thing is, what makes you cry is that it's so amazing, like all the preparations. It's like they're made with so much love and so much devotion, so much attention to detail, and really paying a lot of attention to the things that, all the foods that Lord Chaitanya really liked and that were very dear to him from Navadvip, specialty items from Navadvip. For example, there's one sweet ball, I always remember this one because it's one of the ingredients of it is this very, very fine clay from the Ganga, from the bank of the Ganga. Because Lord Chaitanya loved the Ganga, and one thing that he missed in Jagannath Puri is that the Ganga doesn't flow there. Ganga Devi, the Ganga River is so dear to him. So like one of the ingredients, because it's very, very fine, very fine, it's in this laddu. So it's called something like Ganga laddu or something. So like that. When Lord Chaitanya would eat those foods, he would just remember his hometown and all the memories, ecstatic pastimes that he had there. 29. Prabhura Atyanta Priya Pandita Ganga Dasa Yahara Smarane Haya Sarva Bandhanasha.
Pandit Ganga Das was the 8th dear branch of the tree of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One who remembers his activities attains freedom from all bondage.
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? We may not know who all these personalities are who are being listed, but they're all pure devotees of the Lord, and they all have amazing transcendental qualities and activities. And he's saying that just by hearing and remembering the activities of Pandit Ganga Das, or any of them really, we can attain liberation from the cycle of repeated birth and death. That's how powerful these personalities are. Just by remembering them, we get liberated. Caitanya Parshada Sri Acharya Purandara Pita Kari Yanra Bale Goranga Sundara Sri Vrindavan Natwar.
Sri Acharya Purandara, the 9th branch, was a constant associate of Lord Chaitanya's. The Lord accepted him as his father. Srila Prabhupada's purport. It is described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat that whenever Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the house of Raghav Pandit, he also visited Purandara Acharya immediately upon receiving an invitation. Purandara Acharya is to be considered most fortunate because the Lord used to greet him by addressing him as his father and embracing him in great love.
So nice. Imagine getting the embrace of the Lord. Everybody is very, very fortunate. Damodara Pandita Shaka Premete Prachanda Prabhura Upareyen Hokaila Vakya Danda. Trivikram.
Translation. Damodar Pandita, the 10th branch of the Caitanya tree, was so elevated in love of Lord Chaitanya that he once unhesitatingly chastised the Lord with strong words. Uh-oh.
Yeah, we're going to hear about this later. I don't want to like spoil all the later pastimes by telling them. Danda kata kahiva age vistara kariya dande tushta prabhu tandre pattaila nadiya. Nikash?
Later in the Caitanya Charitamrita, I shall describe this incident of chastisement in detail. The Lord, being very much satisfied by this chastisement, sent Damodar Pandit to Navadvip. Purport: Damodar Pandit, who was formerly known as Saibya in Brajadama, used to carry messages from Lord Chaitanya to Sachimata, and during the Ratha Yatra festival, he carried messages from Sachimata to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Anhara Anuja Shaka Shankara Pandita Prabhupada Padana Yanra Nama Vidita. Hannah.
Okay. The 11th branch, the younger brother of Damodar Pandit, was known as Shankara Pandit. He was celebrated as the shoes of the Lord.
That's a funny thing to me. I'm not sure how he became the shoes of the Lord, but we might hear about it later. I can't remember. Sadashiva Panditayanra Prabhupade Asha Pratame Nityanandera Yanra Gare Vasa. Arjuna, are you on the spot? Or are you driving?
I was, but I'm available. Okay. Sadashiva Pandit, the 12th branch, was always eager to serve the lotus feet of the Lord. It was his good fortune that when Lord Nityananda came to Navadvip, he resided at his house. It is mentioned in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Antyakanda, chapter 9, that Sadashiva Pandit was a pure devotee and that Nityananda Prabhu resided at his house.
Srinasingha Upasaka Pradyumna Brahmachari Prabhu Tanra Nama Kaila Nrsimhananda Kari. Kadrian?
Translation: the 13th branch was Pradyuma Brahmachari. Since he was a worshipper of Lord Nrsimha Dev, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu changed his name to Nrsimhananda Brahmachari. Purport: Pradyumna Brahmachari is described in the Adi-lila, 2nd chapter of Sri Caitanya Caritamrita. He was a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya who changed his name to Nrsimhananda. If I'm saying these names wrong, please correct
No, you're
me.
doing well. Nrsimhananda.
Nrsimhananda, thank you. While coming from the house of Raghava Pandit at Panihati to the house of Shivananda, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in the heart of Nrsimhananda Brahmachari. To acknowledge this, Nrsimhananda Brahmachari used to accept as eatables the food of 3 deities, namely Jagannath, Nrsimhadev, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is stated in the Caitanya Caritamrita Adi-lila, 2nd chapter, verses 48 through 78. Upon receiving information that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was proceeding toward Vrindavan from Kulia, Nrsimhananda absorbed himself in meditation and by his mental activities began constructing a very nice road from Kulia to Vrindavan. All of a sudden, however, he broke his meditation. and told the other devotees that this time Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not go to Vrindavan, but would travel only as far as the place known as Kanai Natashala. This is described in Adi-lila, chapter 1, verses 155 through 162. The Gora Ganodesha Deepika 74 says, Avesascha tata gyeyo misre pradyumna samyake. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu changed the name of Pradyumna Mishra or Pradyumna Brahmachari to Nrsimananda Brahmachari, for in his heart, Lord Nrsimadev was manifest. It is said that Lord Nrsimadev used to talk with him directly.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. Can you imagine Lord Nrsimadev talking to you? By the way, Kadrian, that was great. I'm really impressed with your Sanskrit and Bengali pronunciation.
So was that literal that he
Guy was a very great personality.
that he made a road with his mind?
Yeah, so what happened is he heard that Lord Chaitanya was going to be going from Kulia to Vrindavan, which is a very long walk. And back in the day, there was no nice roads. It was basically like dirt roads or just forest paths like that. And he was thinking, oh, if the Lord's going to walk on these dirt roads, he's going to be stepping on sharp stones and thorns and twigs and things. He's going to hurt his feet. So let me make a beautiful road for him. And of course, he's a brahmachari. So brahmachari means he's just, a humble student. He doesn't have work or money or anything, So, so he thought, well, I'll do it in my mind. So he would just, get himself into meditation. And then while he's in meditation within his mind, he would be getting, these beautiful jeweled pavers and laying them down nice and flat and smooth and decorating it, with flowering plants on each side and making a beautiful, beautiful footpath, for Lord Chaitanya. And his idea was, in my mind, I'm going to build this. And he all the way, and I guess he knows the geography, he knows the route. So he's in his mind, he's imagining, okay, this is Kulia, this is what it looks like, this is where the path's going to start, and it needs to go this way. We're going to pass through this village, this field, whatever, this forest. And so he's going like that, constructing this road in his mind. And then he gets to a place called Kanai Natshala, and then he tries to get into his meditation and continue building the road, but he can't. Like, the meditation is not coming, right? He's just like closing his eyes and trying to think of building the road further, but he can't. It's just not manifesting in his mind. And by that, he understood, even before the Lord even started his journey, that the Lord is not going to go to Vrindavan this time. He's going to go only as far as Kanai Natshala, and then he's going to turn back, go somewhere else. So, and that actually happened. So the devotees were actually really upset when they found out that Lord Chaitanya was going to Vrindavan. They're like, oh no, how can you go to Vrindavan? That's so far. We won't see him for God knows how long. We don't want him to go. And then they're singing on the Brahmachari was like, don't worry, he's not going. He's going to go a short ways and he's going to come back. So you don't need to be in anxiety now about missing him too much. So that was a nice pastime. Yeah, that would be, yeah. So we'll hear about that when we get to Adi-lila. Now we're in the Adi. Adi means beginning, Madhya means middle, and Antya means end. So now we're in the Adi. We're still in the beginning. And that's why we're going through all these. We're just, Krishnadas Kaviraj, the author, is introducing us to all of these key associates. The importance of their importance and little trailers, little glimpses into some of the pastimes and the relationships. And we're going to hear more about them. 36. Narayana Pandita Eka Badha I Udara Chaitanya Charana Vinu Nahi Jane Ara. I forgot where we are. Is it my turn? Narayan
Yes.
Pandit, the 14th branch, a great and liberated devotee, did not know any shelter but Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet. Purport. Narayan Pandit was one of the associates of Srivas Thakur. It is mentioned in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Antya Kanda, 8th chapter, verse 36, that he went to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Jagannath Puri with the Thakur's brother Sri Ram Pandit. Shriman Pandita Shaka Prabhu Nija Britya Devti Dharena Yabe Prabhu Karena Nritya.
Translation. The 15th branch was the Sriman Pandita, who was the constant servitor of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He used to carry a torch while the Lord danced. Purport. Sriman Pandita was among the companions of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when the Lord performed Sankirtan form of goddess of Lakshmi and danced in the streets of Navadvipa. Sri Ram Pandita carried a torch to light the sky.
Yeah, so they would go out and do Harinam Sankirtan in the streets even at night. And so this Shriman Pandit, he lit a torch, flaming torch to light the way. Shuklambara Brahmachari Bara Bhagyavan Yanra Anamani Kali Kaila Bhagavan.
Sometimes I should come and forcibly and eat it. Report. It is called stated that Shukrambara Brahmachari and was Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's. When Lord Chaitanya returned from Gaya after initiation, he stayed with Shukrambara Brahmachari because he wanted to hear from this devotee about the pastimes of Lord Krishna. Shukrambara Brahmachari collected tons of rice from the inhabitants of Navadvipa, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took pleasure in eating the rice that he cooked. It is said that Shukrambara Brahmachari was one of the wives of the Yagik Brahmanas during the time of Lord Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. Lord Krishna begged food from the wives of Yagik Brahmanas, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed a similar pastime by begging rice from Shukrambara Brahmachari.
Wow, yeah, that's so cool.
Oh.
You know that story from Krishna book?
Yeah.
Yeah, from 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam. So one day, tell the story with you. One day, Krishna and Balaram and all the cowherd friends, all their friends are out in the pasturing grounds herding the cows. And then, so Krishna and Balaram start saying, "We're hungry." Because they're not really hungry, but this is all pastime. So they're complaining that they're hungry, and then they're asking a couple of their friends, go to the nearby village. There's some Brahmins. They're doing a big sacrificial performance, and they've cooked so much food for the festival. So just go there and ask them for a little bit of food because Krishna and Balaram, because we're hungry. Tell them Krishna and Balaram are hungry. They're just nearby with their cows. You please just pack a little food for them, and we'll take it. So then the boys go there and they approach the Brahmins, the men who are performing the sacrifice. And the Brahmins they're doing all their yagyas and their mantras and their rituals and things. And the boys are like, "Oh, Brahmins, oh, great, merciful Brahmins. Krishna Balaram are nearby. They're very hungry. Please give us some food to take to them." And the Brahmins were so, one, they were so absorbed in their rituals, and two, they were thinking, who are these lowly, cowherd boys just like bothering us? And they didn't even acknowledge them. They didn't even speak to them. They didn't even have the decency to say, sorry, don't disturb us. We're doing something more important. They just totally ignored them. So the boys were just very frustrated, like, oh my God, these guys, like, they couldn't even give us the time of day with to speak of, couldn't even look at us with this, we could give us some food. So they went back feeling very disappointed and discouraged, and they told Krishna and Balaram what happened. Krishna and Balaram said, don't worry, when you go begging for some charity, sometimes you get, sometimes you don't. That's just the way it is. And no need to feel depressed about it. And he said, but, try this. Go back to the same place. Don't ask the men. You ask the women this time. You go to their wives and ask the Brahmins' wives to give us some food. I think you'll be successful. So the boys, they regain their hope and they go back, and the Brahmins anyway, they're so absorbed in the thing, they barely notice them. So they just kind of slipped into the inner courtyard of the house, and the women were all there, and they were like cooking and preparing things and doing offerings and arranging everything. And the boys said, oh, Krishna and Balaram are nearby, they're very hungry. And as soon as they said Krishna and Balaram, the wives were like, Krishna and Balaram? Oh my God, they're nearby and they're hungry? What luck, we have so much food. And so they just started grabbing all the big pots of things that they were cooking to like feed everybody after the yagya. And they just started running. They were like, they didn't even give it to the boys. They themselves personally wanted to deliver it. And they brought so much food, pots and trays of food. And they all went there and they personally gave it to Krishna Balaram. Krishna Balaram was so happy. And they didn't even want to go back. They were like, we're so happy we got the chance to engage in your service. I don't know what's wrong with our husbands. Those guys are just so arrogant. They don't even know what is the purpose of the sacrifice. I mean, you are the Supreme Personality of God, and everything is meant for you. All sacrifices are meant for you. So I don't know what they're doing some other sacrifice and not feeding you. It doesn't even make sense. So, and then they said, we don't want to go back to them. And also, I don't think they're going to even accept us, because actually when they were trying to leave, the husbands and their grown-up sons were all trying to stop them. Like, hey, where are you going? That food is for the yagya. Just can't just run off in the field and give your food to some boys. Like, what is this behavior? And they're like, shut up, don't bother us, we're going. And they just like pushed through and went. And so they're thinking our husbands are gonna think that we're unchaste, disobedient, unsubmissive. They're probably gonna just, if we try to come back, they'd go back home now, they're not gonna have us. They're just gonna be like, you like those boys out in the field, you go with them. Go live with the cows in the forest. So they were worried. They're thinking, one, we don't want to go. Two, they're going to reject us. So there's no point going. Krishna said, no, don't worry. They will accept you. You'll see. You just trust me. So then reluctantly, the ladies went back home. And as soon as they got back home, their husbands were literally like, oh, my dear wife. They're all just approaching their wives saying, my dear wife, I'm so sorry. We are so ignorant and foolish. You women are so much more spiritually advanced. You could recognize that Krishna and Balaram are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We were so ignorant about it. And we're just absorbed in our mundane rituals, trying to get material benefits. And you are the ones who understood the real purpose of life. And we accept you as our gurus. Please instruct us. Basically. So the husbands, rather than rejecting their wives, they were like basically worshiping them and touching their lotus feet, putting the dust of their feet on their heads. So this Shuklambara Brahmachari was one of those wives of the yogic Brahmins. And so in Krishna's pastimes, he performed this pastime of going and begging food from them. And so now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna, he would also go to Shuklambara Brahmachari and be like, please cook for me, I'm hungry. And Shuklambara Brahmachari would cook rice and Lord Chaitanya would eat it. So this was like the reenactment of the pastime. Okay, text 30. Oh, who has a question? I can see.
Yeah, I was thinking that all the Brahmana wives, how much love they have for Krishna and Balaram. Because those days, if you disobey your husband, you're gone.
You
like
done.
it's
Yeah.
it's not even the case. And then even after rejecting, they went, and in Krishna book it was written, one of the Brahmana wife died in separation, that she could not go.
There was one that the husband caught her and she wasn't able to escape. And he put her inside the house and he locked the door and he wouldn't let her go, and locked the gate, guarded the gate. Just one of them. And she was so frustrated and feeling so much separation from Krishna and feeling such intense like FOMO basically that she missed out on the chance to go and personally serve Krishna and Balaram, that she literally like left her body. She died. And said that actually she was the most fortunate one, because when she left her body in that state of intense remembrance of Krishna and desire to be with Krishna, she went straight back to Godhead. She didn't have to stay with those Brahman husbands. Okay, text 39. Nandana Acharya Shaka Jagate Vidita Dukaya Dui Prabhura Yanra Gare Stikta. Oh,
Nandanacharya, the 17th branch of the Caitanya tree, is celebrated within the world because the two Prabhus, Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda, sometimes hid in his house. Nandanacharya was another companion of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during his kirtan pastimes in Navadvip. Srila Nityananda Prabhu as Avadut traveled on many pilgrimages, and when he first came to Sri Navadvip Dham, he remained hidden in the house of Nandanacharya. It is there that he first met all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited his Mahaprakash, he asked Ramai Pandit to call Advaita Prabhu, who was hiding in the home of Nandanacharya, for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could understand that he was hiding. Similarly, Lord Chaitanya also sometimes hid in the home of Nandanacharya. In this connection, one may refer to Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhya Kanda, chapters 6 and 17.
Yeah, Chaitanya Bhagavat describes this in a lot of detail. So, yeah, Lord Nityananda was older than Lord Chaitanya because he's Balaram, the big brother of Krishna. And so when he comes in Chaitanya Lila, he's the older brother of Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Nityananda, he was traveling on pilgrimage and he was in Vrindavan, actually. And he was just waiting for Lord Chaitanya to start his Sankirtan pastimes, because in his youth, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was Nimai Pandit. Before he took initiation, he was playing the role. He wasn't really, but he was playing the role of being the kind of like a academic scholar and teacher of logic and debate and grammar and so forth. He opened up his own grammar school. And yeah, so Nityananda was like, all right, I'm not going to bother going there until he really starts his mission, because I want to help him with the mission. And so he's hanging out in Vrindavan and he's just waiting and waiting. And then by his omniscience, he understands. Lord Chaitanya got initiated. He went back. He's chanting the holy name all over Navadvip. He's, getting so many followers. All the Vaishnavas are joining up with him. And it's an amazing, blissful Sankirtan movement that's going on there. I better get over there quick. So then he goes from Vrindavan to Navadvip. But when he gets there, he doesn't want to just show up. He goes to Nandanacharya's house and he hides out there. And then Lord Chaitanya has a dream. And then he wakes up. He wakes up and he tells his close associates, he says, oh, last night I had this most blissful dream that this great personality came to Navadvip and he's somewhere in the town and we need to find him. So then he sends, he gets calls all of his associates and he sends them out into different search parties to scour the whole town until you find this person. They didn't even know who exactly they were looking for. They were just looking for some exceptional personality, some self-effulgent, person. And anyways, they looked all day and they couldn't find him. They came back and they were like, we're sorry, Lord Chaitanya, we couldn't find anybody exceptional, just the regular people that live here. And then Lord Chaitanya said, all right, I'm going to go find him myself. So Lord Chaitanya knew exactly where he was. So he went to the house of Nandanacharya. And the meeting is, so this is the first time in this appearance, in Lord Chaitanya's appearance, that he's meeting Lord Nityananda. Because although they're brothers eternally, but they weren't brothers. And they weren't born in the same family, but they united as adults. And then they serve together. But it's so ecstatic when they first see each other. They just embrace each other and then faint, and then they're jumping and falling down on the floor from jumping 6 feet in the air and crashing down unconscious on the ground. And they're embracing each other, and so many tears are squirting out of their eyes, not like this, but like squirt gun. And they're soaking each other with tears. Their clothes are getting soaked, and everybody around them is just getting sprayed with tears. And the devotees are getting worried, oh my God, they're gonna, because they were jumping up and then fainting in midair and just crashing down on the ground from high up. And the devotees are oh my God, they're gonna break their bones. They're just falling so hard. But they didn't break any bones. And yeah, it was super extremely next level emotional. Yeah. So, yeah. Acrobatic. So that's described it's not described in Caitanya Charitamrita, it's described in a lot of detail in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Vrindavan Das Thakur's account of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. So that's Nandana Acharya. And apparently, according to the purport, it wasn't only that time that somebody hid out in Nandana Acharya's house that looks like that became like the hide and seek spot, favorite hide and seek spot. That Advaita Acharya hid there, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu hid there. Why didn't he just go and show up on Lord Chaitanya's doorstep? Who could understand the mind of Lord Nityananda?
To have this past.
I guess so, yeah. To make it more dramatic. Text 40. Shri Mukunda Datta Shaka Prabhura Samadhyayi Yanhara Kirtane Nache Chaitanya Gosai.
Last friend of Lord Chaitanya. The Chaitanya Sri Mukunda Datta was born in the Sattagrama district in the village of Chanhara, which is under the jurisdiction of the police station named Patia. This village is situated 10 korsas or nearly 20 miles from the home of Pundrika Vidyanidhi. In the Gaura Ganodesha Dipika 140, this says, Rajesh Sita Gai Kaurya, Madhu Kantha Madhuvarka, Mukunda Vasudeva Datta, Gauranga Gai Kaurya. In the Braja, there are two very nice singers named Madhukanta and Madhuvrata. They appear in Chaitanya Adi-lila as Mukunda and Vasudeva Datta, who were singers in the society of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Lord Chaitanya was a student, Mukunda Datta was his class friend, and they frequently engaged in local logical arguments. Sometimes Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would fight with Mukunda Datta using tricks or logic. This is described in the Chaitanya Bhagavata Adi Khanda chapters 11 and 12. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned from Gaya, Mukunda Datta gave him pleasure by reciting verses from Srimad Bhagavatam about Krishna Lila. It was by his endeavor that Gadadhar Pandit Goswami became a disciple of Pundrika Vidyanidhi, as stated in Sri Chaitanya Bhagavata Madhya Khanda chapter 7. When Mukunda Datta sang in the courtyard of Srivasa Prabhu, Mahaprabhu danced with his singing, and when Lord Chaitanya for 21 hours exhibited an ecstatic manifestation known as Sata Pahariya, Mukunda Datta inaugurated the function by singing.
Pause there for a sec. So this, this Mukunda and Vasudev Datta, they're brothers, and they're very famous for singing. So in the Gaur Arti song, we sing, there's that line that goes, Mukunda Vasu Goshani Gaya. Yeah, so they're all singing. They're all singing, headed by, right? Adi means headed by Sanjay, Mukunda, and Vasudev. So that's the Mukunda there is this one, Mukunda Datta, and Vasudev is Vasudev Datta. They're always singing. So I'm sure that they were very pleasing to Bhakreshvara Pandit because they could sing, right? Mukunda Datta sang for 21 hours. Maybe not 72, but he did pretty well. 21. Beat that. Okay, go ahead.
Sometimes Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just had Mukunda Datta by calling him Kharagatiya Bela, because he attended many functions held by different classes of non-devotees. This is stated in the Chaitanya Bhagavata Madhya Khanda chapter 10. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dressed himself as the goddess of fortune to dance in the house of Chandrasekhara, Mukunda Datta became the first son. Before disclosing his desire to take the renounced order of life, Lord Chaitanya first went to the house of Mukunda Datta. But at that time, Mukunda Datta requested Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to continue his Sankirtana for a few days more before taking sannyas. This is stated in the Chaitanya Bhagavata Madhya Khanda chapter 26. The information of Lord Chaitanya accepting the renounced order was made known to Gadadhar Pandita, Chandrasekhara Acharya, and Mukunda Datta by Nityananda Prabhu. And therefore all of them went to Katwa and arranged for Kirtan and all the paraphernalia for the Lord Chaitanya's acceptance of sannyasa. After the Lord took sannyasa, they all followed him, especially Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Gadadhar Prabhu, and Mukunda Datta, who followed him all the way to Purushottama Chhatra. This connection one may refer to Sri Chaitanya Bhagavata Antya-khanda chapter 2. In the place known as Jaleshwara, Nityananda Prabhu broke the sannyasa rod of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mukunda Datta was also present at that time. He went every year from Bengal to see Lord Chaitanya.
Yeah, so the attendance of Mukunda Datta and others at the sannyas initiation of Lord Chaitanya was very significant because Lord Chaitanya took sannyas from Keshava Bharati, who was a Mayavad sannyasi, and there were all these Mayavadi sannyasis and others, you know, his followers and disciples there. And but by Lord Chaitanya's desire, and these devotees, especially Mukunda Datta, because he was such a great singer, it was like the best kirtaniya of Lord Chaitanya's Leela. So they were leading ecstatic kirtan the whole time. And the kirtan got so wild that everyone was jumping and dancing and singing. And even Keshava Bharati, who the sannyas guru of Lord Chaitanya, even he got ecstatic and started jumping. And it's described, the description of Chaitanya Bhagavat is crazy. Like they're like jumping and they're rolling on the floor in ecstasy on the ground. And Keshava Bharati like kind of loses himself in so much ecstasy that his like sannyas lungi falls off and he's not even aware of it, and he's like basically naked and he's just chanting and dancing and he doesn't even know that his clothes fell off. And then somebody throws him his like cloth that fell off, and then he like just puts it on his head like a turban. So it got very, very wild. And Lord Chaitanya was so happy because everybody there just got pulled into the kirtan. All the Mayavadis, all the impersonalists, all the whoever was there. They were just chanting and dancing in ecstasy and crying and rolling on the ground. So thanks to Mukunda Datta and Lord Nityananda and the crew, the kirtan party. And then from there, Lord Chaitanya went to Jagannath Puri, and they all went with him. They had this huge Harinam procession all the way to Jagannath Puri. So, very blissful pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Okay, let's
stop it, or
I think we'll stop here because now we're going to get into Vasudev Datta.
Nityananda Prabhu broke the sannyasa rod.
Yeah, because Lord Nityananda wasn't actually happy that Lord Chaitanya took sannyas, because that meant a couple of things. One, that he wouldn't be able to go back to Navadvip. Two, he wasn't going to be able to see his mother, who was like so dear to all of them. And three, he was thinking, why does the Lord need to take sannyas? Right? He doesn't need, because sannyas, I mean, in this day and age it's different, but in that day and age, sannyas was something very severe. You know, it meant like you basically were dead to the world. You know, you gave up your family, you gave up your homeland, you ate very simply, you dressed very simply. Yeah, that's why like Lord Chaitanya didn't accept the oil. He didn't like to accept, you know, opulent food. And the devotees wanted to serve the Lord in all these ways and make him comfortable and make him happy, but sannyas meant that he wasn't going to be able to accept those nice things. And he would just have to, you know, keep traveling. He would be under strict vows and self-discipline and all this. So they thought, wow, you know, you're the Lord. Sannyas it's an ashram of purification, right? The sannyas vows are to purify oneself, to detach oneself from sense gratification. But it's like for Lord Chaitanya, he doesn't need to purify himself because he's already pure. He doesn't need to detach himself from sense gratification because he doesn't enjoy his senses. You know, he's always just doing everything. Everything that he does is spiritual. There's no material enjoyment. It's just spiritual ecstasy. And so Lord Nityananda was like, this is totally unnecessary. Now we can't serve you the way we did before. Now all the residents of Navadvip are just going to be plunged into, you know, perpetual lamentation. This was ridiculous. Why did you do this? And he just took it. He broke it like twice. He broke it into 3 pieces and threw it into the Ganga. And Lord Chaitanya was not happy about that.
What did Mahaprabhu answer there? Why did he took so long?
I can't remember. You have to get there. You have to read the pastime. So stay tuned. All these ecstatic pastimes are going to be coming up.
He gets angry and he leaves them and he walks in, right?
I think something like that. Yeah, he just.
He leaves them. He gets angry. He walks alone to Puri from there.
I went to the place where that happened. It's called Danda Banga. There's a temple there, small temple there, and a nice Goshala and rivers flowing in.
He leaves
Okay.
the company of them and he walks alone to India.
7 p.m. We better stop here.
Yes.
Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai.
Jai.
Namaskar Goswami ki jai.
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 Hey Vrindavan, not go. I think I'll just you call me or something so I can.
Okay.